Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Crpyot Talk with XT. I am your host Nisa, and today we are diving into one of the most exciting era of crypto, which is Bitcoin Layer 2. Joining us today is Chanel Chuang, a contributor at CoreDAO, one of the key players in the Bitcoin space. So Chanel, thank you so much for joining us, and could you introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, from XT Exchange. I'm Chanel, and I'm mainly in charge of the market and the ecosystem of whole APAC region. And Core actually is a POS layer of Bitcoin, so it's our pleasure that we can introduce Core here with the users in XT Exchange.
Great, thank you. Now we can dive into the topic at hand. So for those new to the Bitcoin Layer 2 concept, what exactly is Bitcoin Layer 2 and why it's important?
Okay, I think in Bitcoin Layer 2, it will refer to like the secondary network, or like we will say a platform that built on top of Bitcoin. And we wanted to let Bitcoin can have one of the utility. So this solution aims to address like Bitcoin's limitations, such as like the gas fee and the low transaction and lack of programmability. So while retaining its security and decentralization, that is the most important part in Bitcoin. So Bitcoin layer 2 is something that we need to, we enables the features like making the transaction can be faster. And we wanted to scale Bitcoin itself and let smart contract can support it. So we can we can able to have an ecosystem built on top of that, unlocking Bitcoin's potential and have a broader use case like DeFi or payments or gaming, etc. What happened on Ethereum. But apart from layer 2, I think another buzzword right now we would rather call as a side chain is because layer 2 in Ethereum is just like we're using the same gas fee. But lots of like the Bitcoin layer 2 or so-called Bitcoin side chain, actually we using our gas fee ourselves in our self-native token, and we don't have to 100% to bridge the assets from Bitcoin network to our chain itself. So sometimes we call it sidechain as well.
So some people say Bitcoin Layer 2 is essentially the same as Bitcoin DeFi. Would you say that's correct?
I will say partially yes, and not exactly 100% correct, is because actually Bitcoin Layer 2 or sidechain like us, like Core itself, we provide the infrastructure and that enables Bitcoin DeFi ecosystem can run. But they're not the same thing. Like I think Layer 2 solution will focusing on Bitcoin scalability and functionality. And while Bitcoin DeFi refers to decentralization financial applications that leverage Bitcoin itself. But actually, it's happened already on Ethereum and Ethereum layer 2 as well. So, for example, like Coinbase, they got a base chain. Actually, they have their wrap Bitcoin itself. So they actually try to make a DeFi that includes the Bitcoin assets. So I think we said Bitcoin layer 2 is actually we wanted to build on top of the Bitcoin ecosystem. We try to find the right target audience and we try to engage with Bitcoin ecosystem. And that is the most essential part for most of the Bitcoin layer 2 right now currently is doing.
So what is Core?
Core is EVM L1 blockchain here is that we try to design a scalability for Bitcoin's utility. It serves as a Bitcoin Connect network and it can support smart contract, DeFi, or all the ecosystem already happens on EVM compatible chain. So if you are a developer, you are pretty easy to migrate your projects from other EVM chain to Core itself. For retail users, it's pretty simple that you can mention like Core is a consumer chain narrative, like because in this cycle we find a product market fit and actually use it that is matters. So like Core is a Bitcoin consumer chain because people use their Bitcoin and core is ahead of the users, for example, like transactions, TVLs, and major metrics in Bitcoin DeFi. So while the competitor chase buzz, but core delivers a really adoption and consistent demands of the block space. So this is for retail users. Well, they're trying to understand what is core. You just imagine that core is creating somewhere that can let everybody participate in this ecosystem. But that which is last but not the lastly is core tries to leverages Bitcoin's community. So we have our consensus that we engage with Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin whales, so they are able to delegate their hash powers, or they unable to stake their Bitcoin in their own Bitcoin wallet and delegate it to our validators. So they having core rewards, coordinated token called core. They are able to use these rewards as their a really low they can use core to enjoy and be a part of core ecosystem.
I found out that core often describes itself as a key player in the Bitcoin DeFi. What sets core apart in the Bitcoin DeFi space?
I think the most important thing is as I mentioned, the Bitcoin DeFi is not only for the users currently that we already have on Ethereum or other DeFi chain, but also we have to take care about those Bitcoin holders if we wanted to engage with the actual Bitcoin community. So core stand out because of the Satoshi Plus Consensus. It's a combination like Bitcoin mining parties and Bitcoin miners, like Bitcoin holders. There are 2/3 of lags in the Bitcoin community of our consensus because we are a POS chain. So like we have our native and loyalty core community for sure. But apart from this POS mechanism, we let Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin holders, they are able to delegate their hash power or the amount of Bitcoin that already can be accumulated on Bitcoin network itself, and it delegate to our validators. So which means that, as I mentioned, those Bitcoin communities, they are a part of our core token community. So our community is a combination of core community and Bitcoin community. You can imagine that it's directly connect to Bitcoin's enable developers to build freely on Bitcoin assets, such as Wrap Bitcoin, or like we are going to launch LST without any like compromising security or decentralization. So that's why I think core we position ourselves as a leader in unlocking Bitcoin's untapped potential in DeFi spaces, because we actually found the group of people that actually holding Bitcoin and they wanted to try to find yield spaces on the chain on DeFi itself.
You just mentioned the Satoshi Plus Consensus Mechanism, which sounds unique. So could you explain it further and simply to our audience who might not be familiar with blockchain consensus mechanisms?
Okay, so most of the POS chain actually they have some like voters and validator itself. It's just like the more you stake, then you can create the blocks, then you can proceed the next block. This is a really like basic mechanism, basic feature in most of the POS chain. And because proof of stake is already proved by like Ethereum, they are changing from POW to POS because they wanted to speed up the ecosystem. They wanted to create an efficient ecosystem that enable users, they can have a higher speed of the transaction. So the TPS can be higher and the gas fee can be lower. But it will lack of decentralization that is most of the POW community they concerned about. So I think Core is the best combination of these two because our validator, the feature in our validator Satoshi Plus is a delegate proof of work and delegate proof of stake. The word that delegate, which means that is like my Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin holders, they stake their Bitcoin and then they use a really special features that can make the amount of hash power and the accumulate of the amount of the Bitcoin they already stake, and it delegate to our validators. So the rewards they get is pretty much the same as POS mechanism, that all the rewards, core rewards is coming out from the validators. So at the same time, they get the rewards, they're mining, they get Bitcoin as a rewards, they get core as a rewards, but at the same time, they're securing core chain itself. So it's combined the best Bitcoin community and the core community. So that's the reason it's pretty attractive to those Bitcoin miners, especially after the post Bitcoin halving period. Everybody is seek for a possibility to earn more yield while they're mining. So the two methods core achieve a balance between the Bitcoin's unmatched security and efficiency needed for fast and flexibility applications.
And looking ahead, what is Core's vision for the future of Bitcoin DeFi? Where do you see the ecosystem in, let's say, 5 years?
I will say I won't have such a long time for 5 years, but absolutely every ecosystem is finding a long-term way to sustain the ecosystem. So I think at least within like 2 years, Core trying to envision a world Bitcoin is not only a store of value, but also a foundation of have a decentralized financial ecosystem. So maybe we wanted to make Bitcoin as a mainstream, and at the same time, core can be aligned and tied with Bitcoin. So the seamless integration between Bitcoin and the DeFi ecosystem on core is I think that's the ultimately we wanted to achieve. So we wanted to merge the Bitcoin community and core community and enable and let Bitcoin communities, they can be a part of core community because they can earn yield on core itself. So the goal is to unlock Bitcoin's like 1.7 trillion potential. And another long-term things is that Core trying to make the native token to be the next Bitcoin. So we wanted to launch our own ETF, like enable to a mixture in for traditional finance. I think that is the ultimately goal. Every crypto projects or like every ecosystem they wanted to do is try to bridge the traditional finance and the digital assets ecosystem.
Amazing. Thank you, Chanel. This has been such an insightful conversation. So before we wrap up, where can people go to learn more about Core and Bitcoin Layer 2?
Okay, I will say the best side is just follow our Twitter is core.org. So please search it on Twitter or you can find it on website that is core.org. That is another choices, but really open that everybody can DM, not only in our like English side, or we have Africa and India and Chinese Twitter as well. So like please DM me if you have any question or any like needs you need, like just DM us.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Chanel, for joining us today and share your expertise in Bitcoin Layer 2 and Core, of course. So to our audience, don't forget to subscribe to the XT YouTube channel for more discussion about the crypto and blockchain. Thank you all again. Take care and see you in the next episode.